I paid for my parents to fly out and see me for the first time in 4 years. Round-trip tickets, both of them, $480 out of my own account. I cleaned my apartment, planned every meal, and set the table every single night for a week. They stayed at my sister's house 30 minutes away. On their last day, my mom texted, "Maybe next time, sweetie." That was the moment I realized I was not the daughter. I was the bank, so I shut it down. Before I get into everything that happened, I want to know where you are watching this from. Drop your city in the comments below. And if this story sounds like something you or someone you know has lived through, please hit that like button right now. It helps more people find this channel, and honestly, it helps me keep telling these stories. Subscribe if you are new here, because what happens next in this story is something I think you need to hear all the way to the end. I promise you it is worth staying for. My name is Selendon. I am 29 years old and I live in Brooklyn, New York City. I work as a freelance graphic designer, which means my income is not always perfectly predictable, but I have built something stable for myself over the past 4 years. I pay my rent on time. I cover my own expenses. I built that from scratch alone, in a city where nothing comes easy and nothing comes cheap. I grew up in Ohio. My parents still live there, in the same house I grew up in. My older sister Cerelia lives in New Jersey with her husband and their 2 young kids. And me, I am the one who moved the farthest away, both in miles and, as I eventually figured out, in a few other ways too. I left Ohio 4 years ago. People always ask why I left, and the honest answer has a few layers. Part of it was professional. New York had the kind of work I wanted to do, the kind of clients and creative community that simply did not exist back home. But part of it was something harder to explain. Growing up, I always felt a little smaller in that house than I did anywhere else, not because anyone was cruel. Just because of the way things worked, the way decisions got made, the way certain voices carried more weight than others. Moving to Brooklyn gave me room to figure out who I was when no one was watching. For 4 years I built that life. I found clients, I found routines, I found a small apartment that I made into something I was proud of. And for 4 years I kept in touch with my family the way most families do from a distance. Phone calls, texts, occasional video chats. Sometimes weeks would go by between real conversations. My mom would call when something was wrong. My dad would text when he needed help figuring something out. Cerelia and I were not close. We never had a falling out, nothing dramatic like that. We just did not have much to say to each other. She had her life, I had mine. 4 years passed without me seeing my parents in person. Not once. No holidays together, no visits either direction. I told myself it was because of distance and schedules and the cost of traveling, and that was true. But the other truth was that no one had made it a priority, including me. Then I turned 29 and something shifted. I do not know exactly what it was. Maybe it was the number itself, sitting 1 year away from 30 and thinking about what I wanted the next decade to look like. Maybe I was just tired of the distance feeling permanent. Whatever the reason, I decided to do something about it. I went online and I found round-trip flights from Columbus, Ohio to JFK. The price for 2 tickets, my mom and my dad, came out to $480. I put it on my card without overthinking it. I did not tell them the price. I just called my dad and said, "I want you and Mom to come visit me in Brooklyn. I already bought the tickets. All you have to do is show up." My dad was quiet for a moment, then said, "Well, all right then." I printed the tickets, wrote a short note by hand and mailed the envelope to Ohio. Cerelia found out through my mom, and her response when it filtered back to me was brief. "Oh, that is nice." Nothing more. Over the next 3 weeks I prepared in a way I had not done for anything in a long time. I bought new bed sheets for the pull-out in my living room. I wrote out a full week of meals on a piece of paper and taped it to my refrigerator. Monday would be scrambled eggs and toast for breakfast. Tuesday dinner would be roast chicken with potatoes, my mom's favorite. I planned each day like it mattered, because to me it did. This was 4 years of distance I was trying to close in 7 days. I was not going to waste a single meal. My parents' flight landed at JFK on a Monday morning at 10 o'clock. I had planned to go meet them at the airport, but my dad texted me first. "We got it, we will take a cab, do not bother coming out." I told myself that was fine. I went home, made coffee and waited. By 11:30 I had not heard anything. I texted my mom, "Did you land okay? I am home whenever you are ready." She replied within a few minutes, "We landed, we are at Cerelia's right now. We will come to you tonight." I read that message standing in my kitchen. My parents had flown into New York to visit me and had gone directly to my sister's house in New Jersey before setting foot in my apartment. I stayed quiet about it. I thought they probably wanted to see the grandkids first. That makes sense, they will come tonight. I started cooking at 4 o'clock that afternoon. Roast chicken, roasted potatoes with garlic and rosemary, a simple green salad. I set the table for 3 people. Plates, glasses, forks, knives, folded napkins. I lit a candle at 6 o'clock and waited. At 6:45 my mom texted, "Cerelia made dinner here, it was easier with the kids. Come tomorrow." The chicken was already resting on the counter. I stood there for a moment, then I wrapped it in foil, put it in the refrigerator and sat down at the table alone. I did not blow out the candle right away. I sat with it for a while. Tuesday I told myself, today they will come. I cleaned up, made the apartment look welcoming and kept my schedule clear. My dad called around 11 a.m. and said they would be over in the afternoon. I said, "Great, I will be here." At 2 p.m. I texted to check in. He replied, "A little later, Cerelia has something going on, we are helping out." At 5 p.m. nothing. At 6:15 my mom sent a message, "Eat without us, honey, the kids needed us. Tomorrow for sure." I set the table anyway, 3 place settings, same as the night before, then I ate alone again. Wednesday came. I did not cook anything elaborate. I bought sandwiches from the deli around the corner, enough for 3 people, and I set them out on the table with drinks and napkins. My parents did come that day. They arrived at 2 in the afternoon. My dad walked in and said the apartment looked great. My mom asked about my work. We sat together and talked for 45 minutes. Then my mom stood up and said they needed to get back because Cerelia had a doctor's appointment for one of the kids and they had offered to drive. 45 minutes, after 4 years. I walked them to the door. I watched them get into the cab. I closed the door and stood in my hallway. Thursday and Friday followed the same pattern. My dad would text in the morning with a vague plan to come over. Something would come up at Cerelia's. The visit would either not happen or would last less than an hour. Each evening I set the table out of what I can only describe as stubbornness. Not hope anymore, just something I did not know how to stop doing. By Friday night I had stopped expecting anything. I cleared the extra plates after 30 minutes instead of waiting. I ate whatever I had and went to bed early. Saturday was their last full day. My mom texted at 10 a.m, "We are packing up to head to the airport tomorrow." It went by so fast. I did not respond immediately. I sat with that message and thought about what to say. Eventually I just sent back a thumbs up. That evening around 7, my mom sent one more message, "Maybe next time, sweetie." I put my phone down on the kitchen counter. I did not cry. I did not call anyone. I just stood there in my apartment that I had cleaned and stocked and prepared for a week, next to a table I had set every night for people who never came, and I felt something very clear and very cold settle into place. I had spent 4 years away from my family. I had paid to bring them to me, and they had spent the week 30 minutes away, choosing somewhere else every single day. That night I could not sleep. I opened my laptop at midnight not to work, but because I did not know what else to do with myself. I ended up opening a folder I had not looked at in months. About a year into living in New York, I had started keeping a spreadsheet. I am a visual person, and tracking my money helped me feel less anxious about the unpredictability of freelance income. I had created separate tabs for my own expenses and for what I sent home. That second tab was the one I opened that night. I had never added it all up. I had always told myself the amounts were manageable, that I was helping because I wanted to, that it was not a big deal. That night I sat down and actually looked at every line. When my dad lost his job 18 months after I moved to New York, I had started covering part of their rent. That ran for a year and a half, $14,400. When my mom had a health issue the following year that required a hospital stay and some outpatient follow-up, I covered the gap between what insurance paid and what the bills said, $8,200. When Cerelia was short 1 semester of tuition for the certification program she was finishing, my mom had called and asked if I could help. I had sent $3,600. When my dad's car needed repairs twice in 2 years, $1,800 combined. The plane tickets I had just bought, $480. And then the category at the bottom of the spreadsheet that I had labeled simply, monthly support. A range of transfers I had made almost every month for 4 years when someone needed something and asked, or sometimes when I just knew they needed it, and sent it without being asked. That total came to a little over $70,000. I added everything up. The total was $98,480. I sat in front of that number for a long time. I was not shocked in the way you might expect. The number did not feel impossible or unreal. It felt like something I had known was there, but had never allowed myself to look at directly. I had built a wall between myself and that number because looking at it meant something I was not ready to decide. That night I was ready. The next morning I called Clio. We had been close since college, and she was the one person I trusted to tell me the truth without softening it into something easier to swallow. She lives in Manhattan and works as an accountant, so numbers are not abstract to her. I told her everything: the week, the empty table, my mom's text, and then the spreadsheet. She listened without interrupting, which is one of the things I have always valued most about her. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she asked one question: do they know how much they have been receiving from you over these 4 years? I thought about it. The honest answer was, probably not all of it, not as a total, not as a number they had ever seen written down. Clio said, you are not a bad person for what you have given them. You gave a lot and you gave it because you love them, but you need to decide something. Do you want to keep being the bank or do you want to try being the daughter? She did not tell me what to do. She just made me see what I had been doing. For 4 years my family had been in contact with me most reliably when something was needed, not when they missed me, not when they wanted to hear my voice. When there was a problem I could solve with money. And the week they spent 30 feet away and chose not to come was the week I finally understood that clearly. I did not make the decision immediately after hanging up with Clio. I gave myself 2 full days. I went to work, I took my usual walk along the waterfront, I cooked dinner, I slept. I was not acting out of anger. I wanted to be certain that whatever I decided, I was doing it clearly. On the 3rd day I knew. The first thing I did was log into my bank and cancel every automatic transfer I had set up for my family. There were 3 recurring ones. I cancelled them one at a time, slowly, reading each line before I clicked. I did not feel triumphant doing it. I just felt deliberate. Then I opened a new document and started writing an email. It took me 3 hours, not because I did not know what to say, but because I wanted every sentence to be exactly right. No accusations, no dramatics, nothing that could be dismissed as emotional or irrational. The email went to my dad, my mom, and Cerelia. I thanked them for making the trip. I told them I had hoped the week would go differently and that I wanted to be honest about why I was writing. I said that I had spent some time looking back at the financial support I had provided over the past 4 years and that I wanted them to have the full picture. I attached the spreadsheet, every line item, every date, every dollar amount with the total at the bottom, $98,480. I wrote, I am not sending this to ask for anything back. I am sending it because I think everyone in this family deserves to know the full picture of what has been happening, including me. For a long time I did not let myself look at this number. Now I have. Then I wrote the part that mattered most. Starting this month, I will no longer be sending regular financial support. I am not closing the door on our relationship, but I am no longer able to be the financial safety net for this family while also building my own life. If there is ever a genuine emergency, I am still willing to have a conversation, but the automatic support is done. Before I closed the email, I added one more thing. I had taken a photo on the last night of the visit. My kitchen table, set for 3 people, plates and glasses and napkins, all of it untouched. I attached that photo without any caption. I did not need to explain it. It explained itself. I sent the email at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. Then I closed my laptop, put on my jacket and went outside for a walk. I did not check my phone for 2 hours. When I got home, I had 11 missed calls, 4 from my dad, 5 from my mom, 2 from Cerelia. I set my phone on the charger and took a shower. That evening I called my dad back first. His voice when he answered was not angry. He sounded genuinely confused, which I had not fully expected. He said, Selendon, what is all this? What are you doing? I told him I was doing what I had explained in the email. He said, your mother and I did not realize it added up to so much. I told him I knew that, which was part of why I had sent the spreadsheet. Then I said, I need you to understand something. I am not cutting off this family. I am stopping something that was not sustainable and was not being noticed. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said he did not know what to say. I told him he did not have to say anything right now. Then I ended the call. My mom called again the following morning. The conversation was harder. Her tone was sharper than my dad's had been. She said, is this about last week? Are you doing this because we stayed at Cerelia's? I told her the week was part of it but not all of it. I asked her a direct question. Mom, did you know I set the table every night that week? She was quiet. I kept going. 7 dinners, I cooked or prepared something every single night. You came once for 45 minutes and then you left to take the kids to an appointment. She said, Cerelia needed us more. I said, I know, I just want you to know what was happening on this end. She did not have a response to that. Before the call ended, she said something about how family should not keep score. I told her I agreed, which was exactly why I had never added it up before. Then I said goodbye. Cerelia called the next morning. Her approach was different from both my parents. She did not sound confused or defensive. She sounded almost businesslike, as if she was calling to resolve a misunderstanding. You are making this harder than it needs to be. Mom and Dad are getting older, you need to be more understanding. I paused, then asked her one question. Cerelia, do you know who paid for your last semester of that certification program? Long silence. Then you did not need to bring that up, I said. I am not bringing it up to hurt you. I am bringing it up because you are telling me I am not being understanding, and I want you to understand what the last 4 years have actually looked like from where I am standing. She did not respond to that directly. The call ended shortly after. For the next several days, my dad sent 2 more texts asking if we could talk. I told him I needed a little time. My mom sent nothing after our call. Cerelia went silent. On their last day before flying home, my dad sent one more message. We would like to come say goodbye before we leave, if that is okay. I read that message and sat with it for 10 minutes. Part of me wanted to say yes. Part of me knew that if I said yes, I would spend the visit managing everyone's feelings instead of just being honest. I wrote back, "Have a safe flight home, Dad. I love you." Then I texted Clio and asked if she wanted to get dinner. We went to a small Vietnamese restaurant a few blocks from my apartment. We ordered 2 bowls of pho and Vietnamese iced coffee. We talked about her work, about a book she was reading, about a trip she was thinking of taking. For the first time in 10 days, I was sitting at a table with someone who had actually shown up. That felt worth noticing. When I got home that night and sat by my window, things were not resolved, I knew that. My family was upset and the conversations that needed to happen had only just started. But I had done something I had not done in 4 years. I had made a choice for myself, clearly without apology. That was not nothing. The 2 months that followed were the quietest stretch I had experienced in my relationship with my family in a long time. My parents did not call. Cerelia did not reach out. I went about my life in Brooklyn. I took on new clients, spent time with Clio, started taking a ceramics class on Saturday mornings. Around the 6-week mark, something occurred to me. I had always told myself, and part of me had genuinely believed, that my family depended on my financial support to function, that without what I sent, things would fall apart. 6 weeks passed without a single transfer leaving my account and nothing fell apart. Their bills got paid. Their lives continued. That reality landed quietly without drama, but it changed something in how I understood the past 4 years. At the end of the 3rd month, I came home to find a piece of mail that was not a bill or a flyer. It was a plain white envelope with my dad's handwriting on the front. I opened it at my kitchen table. Inside were 2 pages, written by hand in my dad's careful, slightly slanted print. He did not mention the spreadsheet or the money. He did not explain what happened during the visit. What he wrote was something I had not expected. He said that he had been thinking about the past 4 years, and that he realized he had treated me more like a solution than a daughter. He said that when things were hard, he and my mom had leaned on me in ways that were not fair, and that he was sorry. He said he did not expect me to respond right away, and he was not writing to ask for anything. He just wanted me to know that he understood something he had not understood before. I read the letter twice. Then I folded it and put it in the drawer of my nightstand. I did not call my dad that day. I sat with it instead, the way I had learned to sit with things instead of reacting immediately. 3 months after the original visit, my parents called and told me they had bought their own plane tickets to New York. They had also booked a hotel room in Brooklyn, 3 blocks from my apartment, entirely on their own. My dad said, "We want to come see you, just you, if that is all right." I said yes. When they arrived, I did not cook a week of meals in advance or set the table before they knocked on the door. I waited until they got there. Then the 3 of us walked to a diner 2 streets over, a place I go to most Sunday mornings, and we sat in a booth and ordered breakfast food even though it was 6 in the evening. We talked for almost 3 hours. There were quiet moments, but no one rushed to fill them. Before they left that night, my mom put her hand on my arm and said she was sorry. I did not say it was fine because it was not entirely fine yet, but I let her hold my arm, and that was real. Cerelia and I have not had a full conversation since everything happened. She sent a text a few weeks after my parents' second visit, just asking if I was doing okay. I told her I was and asked the same. That was all. I do not know where things go from there. I have accepted that not everything heals at the same pace, and some of it may not heal at all, or at least not into what it was before. I am at peace with that, even if it is not easy. As for me, I am still in Brooklyn. I still freelance. I still have coffee with Clio more than I probably should, and I still take my Saturday ceramics class. I do not send money home every month anymore. I do not set a table for people who have not confirmed they are coming. I am learning slowly what it feels like to give from a full place instead of out of obligation or fear. The spreadsheet is still on my laptop. $98,480, 4 years of my life laid out in rows and columns. I do not look at it often, but I am glad I looked at it that night, because when I finally saw the number clearly, I also saw something else clearly, the difference between being loved and being useful, and I knew which one I wanted to be. That is a question I want to leave with you today. Have you ever been in a situation where the people closest to you made you feel more like a resource than a person, where you gave, and the giving started to feel like the only reason they kept you around? If that sounds familiar, I want to hear from you. Leave your story in the comments below. You might be surprised how many people feel the same way and are afraid to say it out loud. If this video meant something to you, please hit the like button. It takes 1 second and it genuinely helps this channel reach people who need to hear these kinds of stories. If you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe now so you do not miss what comes next. And if someone in your life needs to hear this today, please share this video with them. Sometimes the most important thing is just knowing that someone else has been through it and came out the other side. Thank you for being here and for listening all the way to the end. That means more than you know. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.